Imagine breaking your arm, but the doctor actually casts it like 3 weeks before you even trip and fall.
Right, before the injury even exists.
Exactly. You walk into the clinic feeling completely fine, and they just hand you a sling because, well, the math says a fracture is imminent.
It sounds like science fiction.
It really does. But that is the level of predictive capability we are looking at today. Welcome to the deep dive. We are unpacking this massive stack of sources from a recent AI News Digest. This is the one dated August 1st, 2026. And the common thread here is, well, it's wild. It's how artificial intelligence is fundamentally decoding the human experience for you.
Yeah, the huge shift.
We're starting with the actual biological machinery that keeps us alive, and then we are moving all the way through to the art and the music that, actually makes that life worth living. I am so excited about the sheer variety in this digest.
The through line here is really fascinating. It's artificial intelligence moving away from just being a tool of automation.
Right, doing repetitive tasks.
Exactly. It's moving into being this tool of profound pattern recognition and really hyper-personalization.
Which we see across all these sources.
We do. Whether the data set is a sequence of human DNA or, the acoustic properties of a jazz track, the AI architectures we're discussing today are mapping correlations across thousands of dimensions.
It's mapping things we can't even perceive.
Yeah, we're looking at neural networks that are sifting through unimaginably dense information to isolate the exact specific variable that matters to you as an individual.
The sheer scope of it is just staggering. So let's start at the most fundamental level of the human experience, which is physical survival.
The healthcare side.
Right. The first piece of research outlines this major clinical breakthrough from a leading tech university. They have deployed a predictive AI model specifically targeting heart disease.
And the early trial data on that is incredible.
Massive improvement and shows a huge jump in early detection rates compared to traditional cardiology. But the crazy part is it's not just looking at a patient's current symptom.
No, not at all.
It's not just running like a standard lipid panel. It is ingesting these vast, unstructured data sets. We're talking decades of electronic medical records, complex patient histories, lifestyle markers.
Genomic data, too?
Yeah, genomic data. And it uses all of that to flag high-risk individuals long before a single physical symptom actually manifests.
The timeline shift is really the entire ballgame here, because traditionally, a physician looks at a snapshot of your current state.
Like a Polaroid of your health today.
Precisely. They look at your cholesterol today, your blood pressure today, they check a box for your family history, and they run a basic statistical risk assessment.
Which works, but it's limited.
Well, the limitation is simply human cognitive bandwidth. A doctor, no matter how brilliant they are, can only hold and weigh so many variables simultaneously in their head.
Sure.
But this university's model utilizes temporal convolutional networks. So it's looking at the entire sequence of your health events over time.
Okay, so what does that actually look like in practice?
It means it can see that a slight elevation in a specific liver enzyme 10 years ago, combined with a particular genetic marker, and maybe a recent, really subtle change in your reported sleep patterns.
It connects all of those.
Yes, it connects them and sees that they create a statistical vector pointing directly toward a cardiac event.
Wow. So it's identifying the precursors to the precursor.
Exactly.
It's almost like if we think about how a human detective operates, right? They arrive at the house, they find the broken window, and they look for muddy footprints.
The standard evidence.
Right. But this AI model, it's essentially acting like a medical time machine. It's analyzing the global weather patterns, the manufacturing data of the crowbar, and like the traffic light timing down the street to calculate the exact probability of the window breaking tomorrow.
That's a great way to put it. It is seeing correlations that are completely invisible to the human eye.
Because they are buried under billions of seemingly unrelated data points.
Right. And that kind of multidimensional mapping is what neural networks just do best. In a standard clinical setting, the human lifespan simply isn't long enough to observe millions of patients simultaneously.
You just can't track those subtle overlapping variables that lead to disease.
Exactly. But the AI has trained on the complete medical lifespans of millions of individuals. It's mapping the exact sequence of events that end in heart disease, and then it is overlaying your personal data onto that map to see exactly where you are standing.
But, I mean, think about how this actually changes the dynamic in the examination room for you, the listener.
It's a huge paradigm shift.
Right, because imagine you are the patient. You run 3 miles every morning, you eat leafy greens, you feel fantastic, you sit on the exam table, and the doctor looks at the AI output and says, we need to begin aggressive treatment today.
Which is a tough pill to swallow.
Literally.
Ah.
You are now treating symptoms that literally do not exist yet. How do we even navigate that? Does the entire doctor-patient trust model just break down when the medicine is entirely probabilistic?
It requires a fundamental reorientation of how we view health. I mean, we have operated on a reactive paradigm for centuries.
The machine breaks, we apply a fix.
Right. Moving to a proactive paradigm means we're treating the trajectory, not the state.
Treating the trajectory, I like that.
The friction you're describing, it really comes from our human discomfort with probability. We want tangible proof.
We want to see the jagged line on the X-ray.
Exactly. But the reality of this AI integration is that it empowers healthcare providers to tailor interventions to your unique, microscopic biological makeup way before the physical damage occurs.
So it's keeping people out of the hospital entirely.
That's the goal. It's a massive leap of faith for the patient, certainly, but the data suggests it could save countless lives by intervening at the mathematical root of the problem.
Well, the idea of treating the trajectory instead of the state, that leads perfectly into the next source from the digest. Because the AI isn't just looking forward to predict common killers like heart disease.
No, it's also looking backward, or rather, incredibly deep into our biology to solve existing mysteries.
Yeah. The next brief covers a biotech startup that has deployed an AI-powered diagnostic tool specifically targeting rare diseases.
This is such a critical area.
It is, because these are conditions that, in the aggregate, they affect millions of people worldwide. But individually, they are so obscure that a general practitioner might go their entire career without seeing a single case.
And the clinical reality for these patients is just brutal. It's often referred to as the diagnostic odyssey.
A diagnostic odyssey. That sounds exhausting.
It really is. It's a cycle of bouncing from specialist to specialist, enduring all these invasive tests, receiving conflicting misdiagnoses.
You're trying to get an answer.
Exactly. Facing immense psychological strain, simply trying to find a name for their suffering. And the startup highlighted in the digest is tackling this, using deep learning architectures applied to genomic sequencing and clinical data.
But wait, I have to push back a little here.
Sure, go ahead.
If rare diseases are notoriously hard to diagnose because of a sheer lack of human exposure to them by doctors, how is the AI doing anything more than just acting as a lightning-fast medical encyclopedia?
Ah, I see what you mean.
Like, is it just running a highly advanced, multivariable keyword search across every medical journal and genetic database ever compiled? Or is the model actually learning something fundamentally new about the pathology?
That is the crucial question, and the distinction lies in the architecture of deep learning itself. It is not just a search engine retrieving known information.
Okay, so it's not just Googling symptoms really fast.
No, because a database query relies on a human researcher having already discovered the genetic anomaly, linking it to a disease and publishing that finding.
Right, the data has to exist first.
Exactly. But this AI is engaging in unsupervised learning and anomaly detection within massive genomic data sets. It is mapping out the latent space of a healthy human genome.
The latent space.
Basically, the underlying mathematical structure of what a healthy genome looks like. So when it analyzes a patient with an undiagnosed rare disease, it isn't just looking for known mutations.
Oh, wow.
It is identifying novel structural variations, or these incredibly subtle misfoldings in the genetic code that have literally never been formally classified in any medical textbook.
That is wild. So it is reading the raw source code of the human body and finding a multidimensional typo that no human geneticist even knew to look for.
That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
And then it correlates that entirely novel genetic anomaly with the clinical data of the patient's symptoms.
Putting the pieces together.
Right. It calculates that this specific, previously unseen deviation in the genome has a high statistical probability of causing the exact cascading biological failures the patient is experiencing.
The emotional weight of that capability, I mean, it's just immense.
It really is.
Yeah.
We are talking about providing definitive answers to families who have been navigating the dark for years.
Just giving them a name for the disease must be a huge relief.
Absolutely. Integrating this level of genomic mapping into standard diagnostic pipelines, it represents a staggering leap forward in personalized medicine. It takes the most terrifying, complex biological unknowns and just applies a highly personalized mathematical light to them.
Okay, so The exact same mechanism that maps an anomaly in a genetic code to predict a disease is now being used to map anomalies in human expression.
Yes, the pattern recognition continues.
We are going to make a hard pivot here, moving from personalized medicine to personalized creation.
This is my favorite part of the digest.
It's so interesting because according to our next source, the art world is experiencing the exact same collision with pattern recognition. An art collective just unveiled a major exhibition featuring artworks co-created with AI developers.
But not just as a filter, right?
Right. The AI algorithms didn't just touch up the images, they actively contributed to the composition, the stylistic evolution, and specific color palettes of the pieces.
So we are shifting from decoding biology to decoding aesthetics. And the underlying data mechanisms are strikingly similar.
How so?
Well, just as the medical AI maps the correlation between a protein structure and a symptom, the generative AI maps the correlation between a specific hex code of color, a compositional geometry, and human emotional resonance.
Oh, wow. So it knows what colors make us feel certain ways.
Exactly. The goal of this exhibition was to intentionally blur that line, blending human emotive expression with the machine's absolute mathematical precision.
Let's break down how that actually works in the studio because it's fascinating. Imagine an artist staring at a blank canvas.
Usually a very solitary process.
Right. Usually the creative process is an internal dialogue, but if they use an AI, it's not just a hyper-technical studio assistant mixing the physical paints for them.
No, it's much more active.
It is like collaborating with a localized hive mind that has perfectly memorized and mathematically analyzed every single painting in human history.
Yes, all at once.
The human artist provides the conceptual spark, right? The raw emotion or the thematic prompt. But then the AI suddenly picks up the brush and suggests, based on the vector embeddings of millions of historical data points, that a specific shade of cerulean blue placed in the upper quadrant will maximize the feeling of melancholy.
It's a very aggressive assistant.
Exactly. So my question is, where do we draw the line here? Where does the human stop and the machine begin? Doesn't this completely shatter the traditional definition of who the actual artist is?
That philosophical friction is exactly what the exhibition was designed to provoke. The source text leans heavily into this debate over authorship.
I mean, it has to.
Right. If you look at how these generative models operate, they map concepts in a multidimensional latent space, just like the genome model.
Mm.
When the AI suggests that specific shade of cerulean blue, it is because that color exists in a mathematical cluster, closely associated with the prompt the human provided. So if the human artist curates the prompt, and the machine executes the pixel-perfect composition based on its training data, who owns the soul of the final piece? The person with the vision, or the architecture that materialized it?
It forces us to ask if the execution of the art is simply a mechanical process, while the idea is the actual art.
Exactly. But, the most valuable takeaway from the digest isn't that tired narrative of AI replacing the human artist.
Right, the whole robots are stealing our jobs thing.
Yeah, we've moved past that.
Yeah.
It is really about the evolution of a new collaborative medium. Think about when photography was introduced in the 19th century. Portrait painters were absolutely terrified.
Well, for sure. Why sit for a painting for a month when you can take a picture?
Exactly. Why spend weeks painting a landscape when a chemical process captures it perfectly in minutes? But the camera didn't destroy painting, it liberated it.
Liberated it how?
Because painters no longer had to focus purely on stark realism. They were free to explore Impressionism, Cubism, and abstract expressionism. AI is serving a very similar function today.
Oh, I see. It pushes them to do things the machine can't.
Right. It is a new instrument that pushes human artists to explore frontiers of creativity, hybrid forms of visual storytelling, and dynamic compositions that are only possible through this specific human-machine co-creation. The AI becomes an extension of the artist's conceptual mind, much like the paintbrush is an extension of their physical hand.
That reframes the technology completely. It's
Yeah.
a tool for exploration, not replacement.
Exactly.
But okay, while this exhibition challenges how we author culture, the final source in the digest explores how AI is fundamentally rewiring how we consume it.
Yes, moving from creation to consumption.
And this brings us right back to that core concept of hyper-personalization we saw in the medical data, but applied to our daily emotional state.
Which is something everyone can relate to.
Totally. A renowned music streaming service has just launched a feature that generates incredibly deep, personalized playlists using advanced predictive algorithms. Now, algorithmically generated radio isn't new. We've had that for years.
Right. If you like this, you might like that.
Yeah, but the architecture described here takes the data analysis to an entirely different level.
We are moving from the visual canvas to auditory processing now.
Yeah.
And the leap forward here is the construction of a real-time psychographic profile.
Real time.
Yes, the AI is no longer just looking at the genre metadata of the last 3 songs you clicked on. It is analyzing your historical listening habits, the precise time of day, your location data, and likely biometric proxies if you are wearing a smart device.
Like tracking your heart rate on a smartwatch.
Exactly. And it uses all of that to curate an immersive musical journey designed to perfectly match and enhance your current emotional state.
So it is building a behavioral matrix. It knows that, like, on a rainy Tuesday at 3:00 p.m., your historical skip rates and volume levels indicate a need for deep focus, so it dynamically queues up instrumental, low-tempo tracks.
You don't even have to ask for it.
Right. But then when Friday at 5:00 p.m. hits, it detects a shift in your activity patterns and transitions the acoustic energy to match that weekend vibe.
It's seamless emotional curation.
But wait, let me put on my skeptic hat for a second.
Go carrot.
If the algorithm is perfectly predicting exactly what I want to hear based on my biological and emotional data in that exact second,
Yeah.
aren't I just trapping myself in a perfectly curated algorithmic echo chamber?
Ah, the echo chamber problem.
Yeah, because if the machine only ever feels me the exact acoustic frequencies that fit my current mood, where is the friction? Where is the joy of accidental discovery? Like when a friend forces you to listen to a bizarre track you would never pick yourself, and you end up loving it.
That is such a valid concern. The echo chamber effect is a critical vulnerability in recommendation systems. If an algorithm is optimized purely for immediate comfort and zero friction, it absolutely narrows the user's cultural horizons.
You just end up in a rut.
Exactly. However, the architecture detailed by this streaming service specifically addresses this by factoring in algorithmic entropy.
Algorithmic entropy, what does that mean?
Well, the developers understand that a 100% predictable playlist eventually causes user fatigue. The human brain actually requires a certain degree of novelty to remain engaged.
Ah, interesting. So the model mathematically calculates when you're getting bored.
Yes, and it deliberately throws a curveball to keep your synapses firing.
Okay.
It acts as an emotional DJ.
An emotional DJ. I love that.
Think about what a world-class human DJ does in a crowded room. They don't just loop the crowd's favorite song over and over.
Right, that would clear the floor.
Exactly. They read the room, they establish a baseline mood, but then they strategically guide the room to a new emotional state. They introduce unfamiliar tracks at the exact moment the crowd's energy is most receptive to it.
Ah, I see.
This AI is mapping your emotional state in real time, matching it, and then strategically injecting serendipity. It might toss in a genre you don't typically listen to, or an artist you've never heard of. At the precise mathematical moment, you are most likely to appreciate the discovery.
Wow.
It is optimizing not just for comfort, but for the human joy of a pleasant surprise.
So it is reading the room, but the room is just the neurochemistry of your own brain. That is wild.
It really is.
Well, let's pull all of this together because the narrative arc of this AI News Digest is just incredible.
It's been a journey.
It really has. I mean, we started with predictive health models acting as medical time machines, analyzing decades of longitudinal data to catch heart disease before it even happens.
Shifting to proactive care.
Right. Then we looked at deep learning architectures, mapping the latent space of the human genome to finally diagnose the rarest diseases on Earth.
Solving the diagnostic odyssey.
Exactly. Then we shifted to generative AI, acting as a localized hive mind, collaborating with human artists to map out the mathematics of visual emotion. And finally, we explored predictive algorithms serving as real-time emotional DJs, charting our psychographic data to curate the perfect acoustic journey.
It is the ultimate exercise in pattern recognition, deployed across the entire spectrum of human existence, from the microscopic building blocks of our cells to the most abstract expressions of our culture.
It's just everywhere.
It is. And, I want to leave you, the listener, with a final concept to mull over before we go.
Oh, please do.
We have analyzed these breakthroughs in isolated silos today. The health data was in one bucket, and the creative and emotional data was in another.
Right, hospitals versus art studios.
Exactly. But these systems are scaling rapidly. What happens when those massive data sets inevitably converge?
Oh, the ultimate intersection of biology and culture.
Precisely. If a predictive AI can read your genetic sequence and lifestyle data to calculate the exact date your blood pressure will reach a critical threshold.
Like the heart disease model.
Yes. And another AI has perfectly mapped your psychographic profile and emotional responses to specific acoustic frequencies.
Wait, are you
Will
saying?
the clinical AI of tomorrow simply prescribe a song? Will the system know exactly which personalized, mathematically generated piece of music has the precise auditory stimuli to physically alter your heart rate and heal the cardiovascular event it knows is coming?
Oh my God.
We are approaching a point where art and medicine may become the exact same data output.
A perfectly curated algorithmic symphony designed to literally heal a broken heart before the physical fracture even occurs.
Exactly.
That is an astonishing thought to walk away with. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the architecture of tomorrow. Keep questioning the algorithms, stay intensely curious, and keep exploring the incredible mechanics of the technology around us. We will catch you next time.